Welcome back to another episode of Not As Bad As You Think, a series where I take a look at games that are notoriously labeled as bad games on the internet. We're going to ask the question, do all of these bad games deserve such titles? Are they really so bad? In this series, I'll break down retro games which I've played which were put in that notoriously bad pile, and then talk about their pros and cons. Then you can decide for yourself. So pull up a chair, grab yourself a big glass of haterade, and we'll get down to it. In today's episode, we'll be discussing The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword for the Nintendo Wii. If you were around the internet when Nintendo recently announced The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD, you probably heard some variation on, well, I wanted to try Skyward Sword, but I hate motion controls, or this game is awful, without even trying it. Those are some of the more mild takes on this game, but mostly I've found that in discussing Skyward Sword with many folks on the internet, people absolutely hate it and refuse to try it. Sure, it's got motion controls, and those can be frustrating, especially if you don't set them up right. But when compared to other Zelda games, this one feels quite a bit different, which kind of sounds like a Majora's Mask discussion, I bet. And no, that isn't necessarily a bad thing. Honestly, this title might not be for everyone, and that's okay. After playing this through when it first came out, and then again about a year ago on stream, I've decided it's one of my favorite Zelda titles to date, and absolutely my favorite 3D Zelda. So after watching this video, maybe you'll want to give Skyward Sword a chance. So, without further ado, here are my top 5 reasons why The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword is not as bad as you think. Reason number 5. The music. If you've played a Zelda game before, you've probably recognized the iconic music. Whether it's an 8-bit chiptune or the fully orchestrated Zelda symphony, the music in any Zelda game makes a statement. Skyward Sword is no exception. The game's opening tune, titled The Ballad of the Goddess, is an incredible piece of music which really showcases the growth of the Zelda musicality in this time period. To balance out the music, the sound effects made by various characters are gentle and softened compared with earlier 3D Zelda titles. And between the effects and the music score, this game is truly a masterpiece of sound. Reason number 4. The overworld map. After speaking to a few folks about what they didn't like about Skyward Sword, one thing that stuck out to me was that they felt that the game reused areas. Reused? Really? This is not something that stood out to me as a detractant from the overall game itself. As you open the game's overworld map, you'll have the home base area of Skyloft, and then from there you enter various points in the world below. These can be easily marked on your map with markers of various sorts, and the overall map marking feature itself is very helpful as a game design and quality of life mechanic to help the player easily get to where they're going. The world map is divided into 3 sections: the forested area of Feor, the volcanic area of Din, and the desert area of Lanayru. These 3 areas are then further broken into sections which can only be reached through game advancement, such as getting a new weapon, getting a special key, and so on. An example of this is when you explore the region of Feor. You first explore the forest, and then when you return, you explore the rivers and lake. To me, because more of the game map is unlocked with each new visit, this didn't feel like repetition. In some ways, it had a similar feeling to Link to the Past mechanic with the light world and the dark world. Yes, I know that this is the forest area, but now I can reach the lake, and so on. So to me, this doesn't detract from the experience. Instead, it's a thoughtfully designed way to engage the player while providing a sense of accomplishment. Reason number 3. NPC Interactions. If the music wasn't reason enough alone for you to check out this game, then the most standout feature in this is how multidimensional all of the non-playable characters are. Generally, in Zelda games, there's some backstory and some interaction with Link and Zelda, and then the game story moves forward in a somewhat predictable manner of getting the Triforce and defeating Ganon in some way, shape, or form. Usually, there's limited interactions with other characters in the story. However, in Skyward Sword, we're much more immersed in the world shared by Zelda and Link. You meet Zelda's dad, and you have several interactions with him. You have the opportunity to make friends and see how these friendships and relationships play out. You see pain and suffering that Zelda experiences on her journey, and that's paralleled by her blooming friendship with Link. Overall, the story and character interactions in this game are by far the deepest we've ever had in a Zelda title. The standout NPC is none other than Groose, the fancy-haired tough guy who likes to bully Link. But as the game story unfolds, the player watches as Groose undergoes so much character transformation and growth. Honestly, he might be one of the most underrated characters in a Zelda series to date. Reason number 2, the gameplay. Alright, before diving into the gameplay, let's get the complaints about the motion controls out of the way. Now, I'm no big fan of motion controls. Sure, it's a fun novelty, and when set up correctly, overall, I think it works just fine. However, after an hour or two of swinging my arms around, yeah, I too am ready to take a break, and that's totally okay. This game was not designed to spend 4 or 5 hours at a stretch on, struggling with motion controls. So, if you've tried using the motion controls and are still having trouble, here are a few things to consider. First of all, is your Wiimote got a full battery or a fresh charge on it? The connection starts to experience difficulty if your battery is depleted. Yes, thanks, Fi. Next, how close are you to the Wii sensor bar? If you're close, maybe even closer than 6 feet, it might be too close. Are you standing up? The motions are harder to do when you're sitting down. So ideally, your setup looks like this. You're using a Wii Motion Plus controller fully charged with a nunchuck. You're standing 6 to 8 feet away from the Wii sensor bar, and every time you set your controller down to take a quick break, you calibrate it before you hit play again. This helps optimize the motion of the controls, and I found that for me, this eliminated 99% of my issues with the game's motion control. Alright, now that we've settled that motion controls are finicky and difficult, let's move on to the gameplay. The reason gameplay is second on my list is simple. The game itself is so immersive, and it gives you the opportunity to explore the main story or the side quests, including collectathons, without making you feel hurried at any point. In fact, I would say there's only one element of hurry, hurry, hurry in this game at all, and it's in the final third of the game. Otherwise, the experience is very much at your own pace. It includes enough flexibility to keep it interesting. So if you're someone who likes a side quest, or someone who enjoys a game with 100% completion as a goal, you like to get wrapped up in collecting as much stuff as possible, or are you just here for the standard game story? The combination of these features allow the player to achieve their goals successfully, and it helps add to the replayability of the game. Once you've beat the game, you also have the option of continuing into a new and more challenging mode, and that restarts your playthrough. Or you can go back and continue your collectathon, which I think is a nice feature as well. Personally, I liked the unhurried nature of this game and all the different options of things to do in the immersive world of Skyward Sword. Reason number 1, the story. Zelda Dungeon calls Skyward Sword a powerful character-based narrative. Nintendo Life says, the basic plot isn't exactly revolutionary, but the delivery is arguably setting a new standard for the franchise. I think it's pretty well known that the cutscenes, the character animations are some of the most expressive we've ever seen up to this point in a Nintendo game. The friendship that unfolds between Link and Zelda is easily the most connected we've ever seen the characters in the Zelda series. Truly, it indicates a romantic attachment and affection. And while we've seen hints of romance in Spirit Tracks, a connective narrative in Ocarina of Time, and the childhood friendship in Minish Cap, this is the first game in which you could see an intimate connection between Zelda and Link. Generally, in Zelda games, the focus has been on the game experience, and then to a lesser extent, the plot. In Skyward Sword, the player feels a much stronger connection to the story itself, and you're really shown the purpose behind the adventure. You could even go so far as to say that the player understands that Link is risking his life to rescue his beloved Zelda in this game. Some serious themes are also presented, but in a manner which can be very engaging across many age ranges, so aka it's not just for kids or adults. And in this manner, Skyward Sword elevates the typical storytelling for a Zelda game, in my opinion, paves the way for future games like Breath of the Wild in terms of story. After completing this game, my first thought was, but I want more! Skyward Sword does wrap up the plot nicely, but I enjoyed it so much, I would have liked to have seen what happens next to our main characters. Sure, I was tired and my arms were sore after so many sword slashes with the final boss, but my heart was full with the story itself, as well as the music. Although Zelda is one of my favorite Nintendo franchises, this was one of the few games to make a lasting impression on me for both story and musical score. So to sum it up, if you like stories with immersive character development, character growth, and a little dash of teenage angst, maybe just a splash of touching moments that pluck at your heartstrings, I'd say that Skyward Sword fully delivers. Maybe consider putting this one back on your shelf, or even giving the HD version a chance. I know I'm looking forward to getting back to this title again someday. Thank you for watching. I'm looking forward to continuing this series with more reviews. If you have a suggestion for a game to review, please post it to the comments section. Check out our live stream on Twitch for family-friendly gaming content, both modern and retro, and thank you for stopping by. Nope. Nope. Glad you're all entertaining yourselves. Oh, we missed that one. Oh my gosh. Hungry, it ain't happening. We're gonna have to do this again. This is super hard to control. Oh my gosh. Well, I guess we know what we're doing for the rest of the stream, guys. I can't even... We did it. Yes. Yay. Got it. Just... Sword out. Link, put your waggle out. There we go. Okay, turn. When you reach your moment in a Wii game that it's nunchucks and Wiimote to the head? What does that mean? What is that a sign of? This has to be a stream sign right here. That was the Wiimote victory dance. Have a bomb. Enjoy. That was awesome. Not only what are we doing? Oh man, it's so finicky. Got it, got it, got it. There we go. Oh no. Oh gosh, where's Chinese Hulk? He's asleep. Guys, the last time we had to do this, there was a horrible clip made of me trying to pull out the sword. A horrible clip. It was like a year ago. So we're gonna... Here we go. I hate this.